Okay. Well, I think it was a successful day. I think we got a lot accomplished. I think it was a great team effort. Our coaches did an awesome job helping us evaluate this year. We were fortunate to get some guys that they really liked. And, we tried to address a bunch of needs. We felt like, we had some good players to us throughout the draft. And the key, I think, to having a good draft is to be flexible for anything that happens. And I think we're that. We had a couple players that we didn't expect to be there when we picked, and we felt like we had to pick those guys because we think they're very talented. So I also just want to quickly a shout out to the IT guys in Baltimore that have helped us, helped me specifically, Coach Harbaugh, maneuver over the last couple of days. We still have another day to go, but so far things have been very, very seamless. And so, I just want to shout out to Bill Jankowski, Nick Fusey, David McDonald's been a guy that's been here basically for 2 days, helping me kind of navigate all the different things. Pretty complicated this year. So that's really been awesome. The video guys, Mark Bienvenu, John Dubé, Colin Ferguson, those guys have set me up really well, and everybody else as well. So they've really made this possible, and I think we got some good work done today.
All right, thanks, Eric. Well, we'll start off with Dave Ginsburg.
Eric, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Had a problem yesterday. Anyway, a nice job of covering everything you needed, but wondering about Dobbins. Was that one of those best player available? I mean, you certainly have a good cachet of running backs, but of course he's quite a stud.
Yeah, well, I think with our offense, we want to add as many talented guys as we can at skill positions. And, you guys have watched us over the last couple of years and specifically last year, and we're a team that likes to run the football. So having running backs, I think, is really, really important. This was a guy that's, in my opinion, one of the very best in college football this year. So he's a very talented guy with electric skills and played at a very high level in a really good conference for one of the best teams in college football. So we're excited to get him. He fits us, and I think he's going to be a guy that is going to be a dangerous player for us, to give us the depth to do what we like to do.
Jeff Zrebeck.
Eric, you guys traded back the one time. There was a couple players that were kind of connected to you in the process that went, and a couple picks leading up to it. Was that a case of a guy you were eyeing got taken, or you just thought it was just too good value that you couldn't pass up?
Well, I think, Jeff, you just kind of evaluate where you are, and you look at the board, and you try and see who you want to take, and is that guy going to be there? So, there's always a risk when you trade back. We hadn't made any trades yet. We've historically made a lot of trades with New England. This was an opportunity that we thought we could move up in the third, which was something that, looked good for us. And, it was almost basically moving up a full round, albeit we had to leave the second round to go back to 71. So it made sense for us, what we were trying to accomplish. And, it gave us more flexibility, I think, to add some additional players that we liked. And I'm happy with the decision.
Jamison Hensley.
Hey, John, they caught you, I think after the Devin pick, you were very excited, it looked like. What was it over the pick? It looked like you pumped your arms up. It seemed like it was probably the most excited they caught you. Was it from that pick? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it was Devin Duvernay. Yeah, that was the pick. I remember. I was excited because I think New England, did they trade in there right in front of us, right?
I believe so.
And so I was just kind of excited because you never know who they're coming to get, what they were going to do, and the fact that we were just hoping that we would get Devin. So once they took Asiati and our guy was there, I was pretty fired up about it.
If I could just say one thing, what made that really funny was New England traded up in front of us, and we were kind of sweating it because I think, for me, Duvernay was one of my favorite guys this year in the draft. And so I was sweating it anyways, thinking they were going to come up and take him. And so when they announced the pick, the guy they took, Asiasi, his first name is Devin.
Yeah.
For a second.
You got to tell this story.
We were all stunned. We were all stunned that they were taking our Devin but they took their Devin, so it worked out for us.
Well, I got to be honest. So I'm going to make the call, and they said that the Patriots took Devin, and I'm like, did we get Devin or not? What's,
I know.
what's
I
his
know.
name?
Jonas Schaefer.
Hey, this is for John. At the end of season news conference, speaking of our receivers, you'd mentioned that, we want one type of receiver, and we also want another type of receiver. If you remember that, I guess in what kind of category does Devin fit, or does he fit both of those, kind of ambiguous descriptions that you were teasing us with?
Right. He kind of fits both. I mean, it's funny because he's fast, which is one type of receiver, and the other type of receiver is a guy that could go make plays outside, which he's that too. Now, I don't think we're finished. You never know, but we've got some big guys outside, obviously, that we're excited about. But the number one priority for us was to get a fast guy. I just want to get another fast guy in the offense, a speed guy. Now you've got a guy that caught 106 balls. I think in his career he had over 160 catches with one drop. That's what we had in our count. I didn't see a drop on tape this last year. Numerous big catches over top of guys. He's only 5'10", but strong, tough, real competitive guy. Got a little chip on his shoulder when we talked to him on the phone. He was excited, but he was a little miffed too, that he was still there, which I love it when guys feel that way, especially in the third round. So I think he feels like he's got something to prove. So yeah, this was the guy we were looking to get for a while there, and I'm glad it worked out.
Garrett Downing.
Hey, Eric, J.K. Dobbins kind of seemed to indicate that he did not have any feeling that it was going to be you guys that took him, that it was kind of a surprise to him. Can you talk about the evaluation process of him? And again, was the fact that he was there at the end of the second round kind of surprising to you that you had him as an option there?
Yeah, we thought he was going to be a first-round pick. We thought he might have been the first back, so it might have been a guy that went 25 to 30, somewhere in there. So, I learned a long time ago, from Ozzie, because this happened all the time with Ozzie. These great players would just fall down the board, and we would take them. And you prepare yourself for it, and when it happens, you got to be prepared to take the guy. So, this was, we didn't really expect it. I don't think anybody really did. We didn't anticipate it, but we just had to take him. He's just a talented guy, and it just made too much sense for us not to take him.
Ryan Mink.
Yeah, Eric, could you expand a little bit on why Devin was one of your favorite guys in the draft? And then with Malik Harrison, could you talk about either you or John about the tandem that he could provide with Patrick Queen and how those two guys complement each other well?
Well, I just like Devin's competitive streak, his nature. He's a tough guy. He reminds me of a few guys that we've had, here in Baltimore. And I'll reference guys like Anquan and Derek Mason, and of course Steve Smith. Those guys all had a competitive spirit about them that they made them really stand out. And I don't think Devin's the biggest guy by any stretch, but he's very tough, very physical. He catches the ball really well, and he's really tough with the football. So I like those competitive guys, that don't go down. And he's kind of got that style to him. He's almost like a running back with the football. As Coach said, I think he caught 106 passes this year, and I didn't see a dropped ball. So, I think that guy just really fits us, who we are as a team, his mindset. We're excited about him, and he's very fast. He may be one of the fastest guys we have in Baltimore when it's all said and done. So, I think that's a positive. And then, the second part, Malik's just different. He's a big guy. You don't get a lot of big linebackers anymore in college football. He's almost 250 pounds. He's got long arms. He takes guys on really, really well. He's really strong in the box, and he can run. He ran a 4.6. I think one of the themes this year with us is we took some guys from really awesome, successful programs. Guys that have played in huge games, playoff type atmosphere in college. And so guys like Dobbins and Malik, guys like Patrick, this NFL thing, they're going to be able to come in and I think really kind of get acclimated quickly. And with Harrison specifically, he's a guy that really looks like an NFL linebacker.
Aaron Kazanitz.
Hey, Eric, with Tyree Phillips, the last pick you guys made there, I know you mentioned there are some tackles who could also play guard. Is he one of those guys? And I also know he started 1 year at Mississippi State. Is he the type of guy who can compete right away for playing time?
Joe, you want to handle that one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, he's definitely a guy that we looked at as a guy that can move inside the guard. He actually was down in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, and he did reps at both tackle and guard, worked both tackle spots during the week, and saw some action in the guard during the game and during the week of practice. So when you watched him, we felt like he's a guy that can transition inside the guard. And in terms of competing for a starting job, all these guys we draft, we expect to come in and compete, but there's guys here that we believe in too. So he's going to have to come in, get to work, and fight for the position.
Cliff Brown. All right, Luke Jones.
Yeah, with you guys taking Matabuki, you obviously signed Calais Campbell and or acquired him and signed Derek Wolfe. How exciting is it to bring some youth to go with that experience and also what he can bring as a pass rusher?
Yeah, I think it's a good environment right now to bring a young guy in. We've got great leadership in Calais and Derek, and Brandon Williams is an awesome leader too. And so I think, to add some young players to those rooms, and we've got a great coach in Joe Cullen, Drew Wilkins, those guys, man, they really did an awesome job developing guys and getting guys ready to play. So I think Justin's a guy that's first and foremost. He plays hard. He can rush the passer. He runs to the football. And I think he's the guy that's got a lot of tremendous upside. He's going to develop quickly with those guys in front of him. And I think it's a great spot for him to be in.
Cliff Brown.
Yeah, with Justin, I was just curious, either John or Eric, is he, excuse me, a guy that you feel like at this level?
Uh-oh.
Lost you, Cliff.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Yeah, as Justin, either Eric or John, as an interior pass rusher, is that really something you liked about him in particular? And do you feel that that's something that can really help you guys if he can develop in that way?
Go ahead, Coach.
He's an explosive guy, really quick, twitchy, heavy-handed guy. One thing he really jumps out at you in the tape, and I was watching more tape again today on him, is he can leverage blocks. So he can unload. He can kind of take a blocker's balance away, and then turn him and work edges. He does it both in the pass game and the run game, and he got to the quarterback a lot. He had sacks, but he had tons of pressures, tons of quarterback hits, chase quarterbacks down, stuff like that. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's very explosive. He doesn't get moved out of there. He doesn't get knocked out of there too much. So his whole thing is going to be just, hey, learn from these veteran guys, consistency, learn how to do things right, be a pro. I think he's going to be a little bit of a different style guy than some of the guys we've had in the past. Going to bring us, all these guys are bringing us a lot of speed to our defense. All three of these guys add a lot of explosive speed to our defense, and that's definitely who Justin is.
Sean Stepner.
Yeah, Coach Harbaugh, yesterday, Ozzie, Alabama guy, you guys take Queen, LSU. Today, obviously, you Michigan, and you guys take the Ohio State guys. Just your thoughts on the first couple of days, kind of going with the rivals from the front office of the Ravens.
Yeah. You really don't think about that too much, really, when you draft. And Jim helps me with those guys at Ohio State anyway, because he knows them so well. playing against them. But I guess it'll make for good bets, in the season next year when those games come up. We'll have some good rivalry games. But I promise you, I won't be wearing any Ohio State gear no matter what. So, hey, Ohio State's got a great program. Those guys are great players. They've had tons of success. Same thing with LSU. Ozzie was excited. I know Eric joked around about that yesterday, but Ozzie was excited to get his first player from LSU. So, hey, let's roll.
Todd Karpovich.
Eric, can you hear me?
Yep.
Looking ahead to tomorrow, is there areas you want to address, or again, just look at the guys who fall to you and you're going to grab the best players who kind of come down to you where you're slotted?
Well, I think now this is when the scouts really make their name. So there's going to be a few players here and there scattered. You got to try and find your guys. Every scout has their guys. That's what makes this job so awesome. And, I've got a few guys still out there that I really love, sleeper type guys that I saw maybe at an all-star game or someplace that I think really kind of can outkick their coverage and be better than what people expect. So there are guys like that out there, and we're going to look for those guys. Every scout, every coach has a few guys in their back pocket. And what we try and do is find enough of those guys to make the third day a success.
Thank you.
Bull Smoko.
Hi, Eric. Last year you talked about an emphasis on speed. And then yesterday, the first thing you said about Queen was he's fast. And I hear you talk about 3 or 4 guys tonight about their fast and the speed, fast. How much has your evaluation of speed changed over the past, say, 2 to 3 years?
Well, I think, after I sort of came in-house and spent more time with the coaches and all of our games, and, this year I watched a lot of the first half of a lot of games on the field, which is really valuable for me. You get a different perspective on things. And what I noticed a lot with the best teams is just the absolute explosive qualities that they have. The best teams, they're so fast at all the positions, and they just seem to be playing at a different level. So to me, that's one thing that should stand out in anything you do is your speed, running to the ball, running through the ball, blocking, tackling, all that stuff. And we try to find guys that are big and fast at every position. And I think that's a critical factor in terms of what we try to do to build the best team.
Andrew Gillis.
Yeah, this is for John. I know drafting 2 linebackers, everybody can talk about the versatility that gives you guys in the front 7. I'm curious as to what that does to the back end now that, I know last year you had to play Chuck Clark in the box a lot. What does that do for you guys, just adding those backers and being able to do more things in the secondary?
Right. It just gives us more flexibility. I mean, we can move those guys around. I mean, both those guys have played on the edge of the defense. Both those guys have rushed inside quite a bit. I mean, you can kind of stereotype them a little bit. You got a big thumper and you got a sideline to sideline speed guy, but really, I mean, they've both done both. And I'm pretty sure that, we can do whatever we want with either one of those guys. We can play him at Mike. We can play him at Will. But we just don't play that way where we just lock guys into positions. We move guys around quite a bit. We'll still have Chuck in the box. I'm sure we'll still play Chuck down in our big nickel where we play run nickel defense and probably put both those 2 guys on the field. But they still got to earn their job too. We've got other linebackers, that expect to earn playing time too. So it's going to be competitive. It's going to be a fight for playing time, and you're going to have to know what to do, and you're going to have to do it well to get on this field and play for the Ravens. And like Eric said, you're going to have to play fast and run to the ball and be explosive. So it's just exciting. It's the kind of guys we like to play. And you're right. I don't feel like we'll be limited at all, where we're forced into doing certain things. It'll all be by choice. Wink's very creative. Mike McDonald's going to do a great job with these 2 young linebackers. He's a great young coach, and I know he's going to have these guys ready to go.
Jimena.
Did you consider making any more trades?
We may. You never know. I wouldn't mind making a couple more trades. I think one thing we like to maybe do sometime, we've tried for years, is actually make some trades and get some picks in the next year. So, if we could do that, I mean, we like where we are. We think next year's draft looks pretty good. So, we'll just have to see who's there when we pick. But if we have the chance to make a trade, we might.
And what grade
Matthew Stevens.
Hey guys, I know it's still kind of early in this process, but you mentioned, the depth in this draft and some sleeper guys you see in this third day. Are there any guys that maybe you see slipping out of this draft and as a UDFA, maybe not necessarily names, but do you think it's going to be a just as deep of a undrafted class as well?
Joe?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. We are, like I think Eric's mentioned a couple times, we had a really deep board this year, and we expect some of those guys to fall through the draft. And Mark Acevedo has led all our scouts and coaches in terms of organizing our approach and the guys we're going to go after if they get through the draft, and then certainly just kind of doing a little recruiting on them and establishing some relationships and contacts. So hopefully we'll have a good stack of guys lined up when the last pick goes off in the 7th that we can attack and supplement the roster even more.
Kevin Richardson. Jeff Zrebeck.
Eric, did the number you talked at the pre-draft conference call about how you guys you think you can find starting receivers all the way through the 5th round, and I think everyone knew it was a deep class, but I think some people thought that that was a little deeper in the draft to find them. Did the run on receivers early today surprise you? And did it force any readjustments on your guys' part, or did you pretty much expect that, knowing the quality player on the board?
Well, I think they flew off the board. There's still some good guys available, I think. And, there's going to be some guys that, eventually 5 years from now, we all look back and see some guys taken in the 4th round, 5th round, 6th round, 7th round at that position that end up being really good players in the league. So, I think every draft has its strengths. I think there are certain positions, offensive line, for instance, corner, wide out. You see those guys get taken early, and once that starts, it becomes like a feeding frenzy, and you just see those guys come off the board. So today, specifically with wide out, you saw a bunch of guys come off fast, and we had, fortunately, we had just enough breath to get the guy that we wanted in the 3rd round with Devin. There were some other really good players at that position that got taken before him, but we feel like we got one of our favorite guys.
All right, we'll wrap it up with Kyle Barber.
Yeah, this question is for either Eric or Joe. Coming into the draft, the inside linebacker position was a little bit thin. Were you anticipating a double dip at the position, and were you surprised Malik Harrison was there that late on day 2?
Well, we talked about a double dip. Actually, I've talked about that a couple times at that position. There were just a lot of guys that we liked. So, we did talk about that, and I think we were fortunate. And, Joe can talk about Malik a little bit.
Yeah, Malik, I mean, obviously, we were fired up to get him there in the 3rd round. He's really just kind of stepped up. John's mentioned it, Eric's mentioned it, his success in his career there at Ohio State, and he's kind of just shown up and performed and done really well. Our scouts liked him when they went in there. Our coaches liked him. I know John had strong feelings for him as well. So across the board, we really had good feelings for him, and to be able to get him at the end of the 3rd, we were fired up. And then you get a lot of texts from your buddies like, wow, that's a great pick there. You got another one. So surprised a little bit, because we felt good about him as a player, but happy to take him, certainly.
All right, gentlemen, thanks for your time. Get some rest tonight, and we will see everybody tomorrow.